Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make a mincemeat loaf cake. So this is going to be a nice and easy loaf cake with some mincemeat mixed into it, with some glacé cherries chopped up and some sultanas as well. A very easy recipe, and I'm basing it on one that I saw on a Mary Berry recipe, but I'm varying it slightly using different sized eggs and using cherries instead of currants, things like that. But it's pretty similar to that, and it's actually, as I said, a very simple recipe. You start off by preheating the oven to 180 degrees Celsius, that's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and you line a 2-pound loaf tin with parchment paper, so grease it and then line it with parchment paper just to make it easy to take the loaf cake out once it's baked. So that's all there is to it really, and I'll go on to the ingredients. And for this I have 225 grams, which is 1.5 cups, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of self-raising flour. Now if you don't have self-raising flour, use the same amount of plain flour but add in 2 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder and mix it to thoroughly combine it, and then it will be just about the same. Then I have 150 grams, which is 10 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of softened unsalted butter, 150 grams, which is 3/4 of a cup of light brown sugar, that's packed, a packed 3/4 cup. I have 225 grams, 1 cup of mincemeat, and if you don't have mincemeat and you can't get it in the shops, I do have a video on how to make mincemeat, so you could do that if you wanted to. I have 2 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA, 3 grams, half a teaspoon of salt, and then I have 100 grams, 3/4 of a cup of sultanas, which I have soaked for half an hour in some hot water, and then I've drained the water and patted them dry. And I have 75 grams, half a cup of glacé cherries, which I have chopped into quarters basically. So that's all the ingredients, and you could, if you wanted to, just put everything into a bowl and mix it together, and then put it into your cake tin, but I'm going to do it a bit at a time because that's the way I prefer to do it. So I'm going to put my sugar and my softened butter into a larger bowl, and I'm going to cream those together with my hand mixer. Because the butter is very soft, you could do it quite easily by hand, but the hand mixer makes it even simpler. And with that cream together, just for about a minute really, I'm going to add my eggs one at a time. And I'm going to whisk those to get combined. And that's good like that. So then I'm going to add in my mincemeat, and I should say, if you think your batter is a bit too thick, you can always add a tablespoon of milk or something like that just to loosen it up a bit, and I'll see how mine goes, but I don't think it should need it. So that's nicely mixed together. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to put my salt into my flour mixture, and I'm just going to stir that around, and then I'm going to add in my sultanas and my cherries. And I'm going to toss those around to get those distributed and coated in the flour. This will help keep them separate. Like that. And I'm going to put that into my batter, and I'm then going to mix that until it's combined. And if I think it's too thick, I will add just a tablespoon of milk. And I have decided that mine is just a little bit thick, and part of that is it depends on how much liquid there is in your mincemeat, of course. So I'm going to take a tablespoon of milk and put that in. That will be enough just to loosen the batter up. And I'll continue to mix. And that's good enough like that. So then that needs to go into the prepared loaf pan. I'm just going to drop that in. And then I'm going to use an offset spatula just to spread that out, basically. And that's good enough like that. So then I'm going to put that into my preheated oven, and I'm going to bake it for between an hour and a quarter and an hour and a half. I will actually test it after about an hour and a quarter, maybe 5 minutes earlier. I'll keep an eye on it and check that a skewer comes out clean, and if it doesn't, I'll just leave it in there for longer. And that's what we want it to do. We want it to rise up. It may split a little bit on the top, which they do with loaf cakes like this. It doesn't matter. And then when a skewer comes out clean, I'll take it out of the oven and I'll leave it in the pan for about 10 minutes before I take it out of the pan and put it onto a wire rack to cool completely. And then once it's cooled completely, I'll come back and show you the results. I baked my mincemeat loaf cake for an hour and 15 minutes. And it rose up quite well, and it was browning on the top, so once it was brown enough, I simply laid a piece of aluminium foil over the top of it so that it didn't brown anymore. And then once it was baked, I took it out of the oven and left it in the tin for 10 minutes. Then I took it out of the tin and put it onto a wire rack to cool completely. So I've cut a couple of slices, and this is what it looks like. So as you can see, it's baked up quite nicely. Fruits nicely distributed throughout. It looks very, very good. So I'll have a taste of a piece. has a wonderful flavour to the cake. The flavour of the mincemeat really does come through. That has some spices in it, and the juice as well as the fruit. And then I've got the sultanas and the glacé cherries. Very, very good indeed. To me, this is a great alternative to a Christmas cake, and so much easier to make, really. So that's going to be it for this recipe, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.